Hello and welcome to the Poor Hammer Podcast, episode 142, the second ever demonetized episode of the Poor Hammer Podcast. I'm your host, Brad. This is my co-host, Eric.
How's it going?
Today's topic, let's wait another 30 seconds or so before I say it out loud. This one goes out to all of those weird War Thunder kids who know way too much about German tanks from World War II. How's your day going? Got to kill a few seconds here still.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's finally getting towards winter. It's that festive season, so I figure we'll have a good cheerful episode.
Well, to kill just a little more time before we talk about today's topic, I guess I should change this back to our 40k forums.
Yeah, it was great for the AOS episode, but we're in 40k land this one.
Yeah, so I think, what's the magic Pokemon words? Abracadabra Hypno?
I don't think anything really changed. Might have got that spell wrong. Let's try again.
I'm back to normal. I think we're fine.
Huh.
You know what? I think we entered 10th edition and my magic ran out halfway through that. I've got no spells left. We'll get back to you later.
Could be worse.
All right, time's up. We can talk about war crimes now. I think we won't get demonetized at this point. I hope. We can't say it too often.
Right.
The thumbnail for YouTube is probably going to say every faction's big whoopsie doopsie.
I'm excited to see how that's spelled.
Every faction's military moral incidents.
What's whoopsie doopsie in Portuguese?
Borrelia, what's whoopsie doopsie in Portuguese? What's the official translation for a big oopsie?
The best part is that there probably is something that's like just as stupid sounding, and it's like, all right. But yeah, sounds good.
All right, before the class submits their homework for the week, I just want to remind everybody, given that this episode may not make any money after the first couple hours it's up, that we have a Patreon at patreon.com/solely-singleton. We could really use you there this episode.
Yeah, I mean, we joke about it, but like, if any of our episodes should be, this one would make sense.
I'm not even going to blame YouTube.
Yeah, we're going to try and skirt around it because, you know, but yeah, if it happens, it's understandable.
We've also got merch at Orchid 8. Go check it out. The dice are selling out, so make sure you get them. But also we've got sweet stuff. There's mugs, there's shirts, there's hoodies. I'm pretty sure this episode will spawn a meme for a new one in a couple months too. But for now, there's some fantastic stuff up there.
But with that out of the way, let's get into this segment's sponsor, War Thunder. I mean, war crimes.
War Thunder is not sponsoring this episode. If they were, I wouldn't be as worried. All right, so this is the final exam for the semester. For those who have been following this series, it's not the end of the series, calm down. But we're going to do report cards as the next entry of this series to see where everybody's standing at this point. So we figured we'd give them one last chance to get some grades up, and then we'll see what happens. Maybe, if you're all good children, then this Christmas we might talk about cereal.
Ooh, what a teaser. I wonder what it could be.
But for this final exam, we are asking for the most 40k of topics. Every faction of Warhammer 40k, please submit for your assignment a war crime.
Oh, it's so dumb, but very 40k. Yeah. Where do we want to start?
We'll do Xenos first.
Okay, I was like, I don't know if I want to jump right into Imperium on this one.
Yeah, we'll warm up, and then we'll save Chaos for last as they're experts. So, Tau, start us off week.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the good guys of 40k, essentially, but they still do have some war crimes under their belt, like the Koloth Gorge Massacre. Basically, just, you know, kill everybody that's a human. Don't worry about surrender, just kill them all. Which, you know, bad enough that the Tau actually, like, brought the commander back and was like, you're bad, you did a bad thing. It's terrible. It's a war crime.
I gotta say, this is a D-. This is the most benign, boring thing in 40k to submit. Oh no, they didn't accept the surrender of their enemy. Do you know what universe you're in right now?
Yeah, that is absolutely terrible. That's like step one of a war crime is like let surrenderers happen kind of thing. Don't just kill them. But this is Warhammer 40k, and we'll get a bit deeper than just morally bad military necessity, we'll call it. So, Tau, yeah, good start, I guess. But let's move into, let's flip to Genestealers. There should be some fun with that.
So, Genestealers submitted the fact that the UN considers terrorism to be a war crime. And considering that's essentially their entire faction's identity as guerrilla soldiers, they're giving themselves an A+, and I have to agree. That's a fantastic argument to submit for your final. It shows that they're going for the Hail Mary of this should impress the teacher.
And they went all in.
There's balls involved with submitting that. I'm going to say I agree with you. Well done.
Yeah, all right. That was an interesting submission, but very, very true. But how about the Votann? And this one's tough because, like, the Votann are new lore-wise. There isn't just like, oh, in 1990, there was this book that was super edgy.
We'll get to you later, all of chaos.
Yeah, so what do the Votann have? And maybe there's some stuff that's just coming out that might change what we've got, but as of the moment...
Okay, look, I haven't read the new Votann book. I know it came out last week. I have not read it yet.
You're letting the podcast down. I can't believe it.
There might be something in there. But for now, the Votann, they screwed up. They attempted to submit their shotguns as a war crime.
Which... no, that isn't true. Like, that's not an actual war crime.
The problem is, after thoroughly researching on Google for 25 seconds, we have determined that shotguns are not actually war crimes. It's just an often parroted fact on the internet. But it also feels wrong to just flunk them outright for information they probably could have gotten from an outdated textbook in our normal public school system. So, like,
And, like, I can kind of understand it. Like, there's definitely the whole, like, buckshot shotgun, which that's not really okay. It's just inflicting pain as opposed to like actually dealing with an enemy combatant. So I get it. But I mean, they don't get a high grade. A C is a stretch.
Yeah, we gave Tau a D- for being a war crime but boring. But Tau's is really boring. This one just feels like they screwed up and I have some pity. We'll give them a D and just let them pass.
How about we let them think and cook, maybe resubmit it when we do our like final grade type thing? Maybe they can submit something better and actually reevaluate this grade. Hopefully there's some... hopefully there isn't something. That's not what we should hope for. That's the exact
Votann get their
opposite.
first book, it's just them committing crimes.
Yeah.
The perfect intro to a faction.
I mean, in 40K, kind of. Let's move on to a faction that has a bit more longevity to their lifespan. Let's look at Necrons.
That segue doesn't even make sense for the topic. This is why I do the segues. But anyway, Necrons, they submitted the most heinous war crime they could cook up. Not properly filing the paperwork for a declaration of war in triplicate 5,000 years in advance. We asked them about the star snuffing cannon stuff, by the way, but they argued that's just covered by concealed carry laws.
Right. That doesn't seem right, but I'm not going to argue, I guess. Yeah, terrible thing to not submit the proper documentation, especially not by the deadline of 5,000 years before it was supposed to happen.
Xenos aren't scoring that high here. We'll tell them it's for the paperwork, but it's really for the snuffing out stars thing. Let's give them their A.
All right, fair enough.
All right, let's move on to a different faction from the War in Heaven here. Let's do some Eldar stuff. You want to do Aeldari?
This one's, yeah, I guess we can just talk about the fall of Eldar and just like the birth of Slaanesh and the whole like fall into depravity and excess that was the birth of Slaanesh. Because all of that.
The Eldar do claim that it was their cousins and definitely not their ancestors who did this one. The Drukhari also claim that it's theirs, but I'm going to blame the Eldar in general. Aeldari, you're taking a hit for this one. And you're getting your A. Good job.
Good job. Speaking of, what do the Drukhari actually have other than, you know, the whole birth of Slaanesh that they were trying to take credit for?
So, the Drukhari have a laundry list. There is an infinite number of entries that they could have submitted, but one of the most famous ones that everyone gets a chuckle out of, because it's just a great gag, is the time that the Drukhari teamed up with the Tau and convinced a bunch of Tau to do a cultural exchange with them.
Yeah, just, you know, creating diplomatic ties between, you know, the different factions and civilizations. It seems like a good idea.
So, then they took those diplomats that the Tau sent over and turned them into pain engines. And then on the next battle that they were going to team up on, they used said pain engines and showed them off to the Tau that this was their diplomats, which angered the Tau.
Can't imagine why that extreme war crime would anger them at all.
I really think they just need to understand that it's just a prank, bro.
Yeah, it's a prank that I'm going to say is pretty high grade on this scale.
Drukhari are getting an A+. This is their subject through and through.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the Genestealers submitting their entire, like, faction's identity, but, like, the Drukhari definitely took it further. They get the extra credit.
So, Orks.
Orks, yeah.
They don't quite get the assignment. They're not great at understanding what a war crime is. That said, they put their best weird boy on it. And he came up with something interesting, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, I think they basically just went with what's bad of war when, like, fighting in war is, like, good. That's, like, their whole thing. So running away from it would be bad then, right? Because, like, you want to get into a fight. So obviously a war crime would be running away.
Yeah, so they submitted retreating. And honestly, given our setting, I don't hate this.
It's tough because, like, it isn't, but...
But it is?
It is? Or, like, there's a certain amount of, like, are you trying to entrap the enemy of executing your surrendering and fleeing troops? Like, maybe that's part of what's going on there.
I think they've outsmarted their teachers on this one, and I just want to give them a B and be on with it.
I think that's fair. Generally, the Orks have big-brained us a few times, so I'll give it to them.
Yeah, I trust the student.
Let's move on to the biggest, hugest of brains, the Tyranids.
Unfortunately, Tyranids didn't submit anything.
Yeah, they really don't understand this assignment at all. Like, the Orks didn't really, but
you can walk them through the logic of it, like, very slowly. Tyranids literally don't have a concept of war or crimes. They are just out to lunch. So they refuse to submit anything.
Which, fair.
I'm going to go ahead and say that Tyranids themselves constitute some level of it.
Could be like some type of biological war crime.
We'll give them just a D so they submitted something.
Because, I mean, they don't really take prisoners of war. They don't allow surrender.
They don't accept surrenders, that's for sure. So maybe, yeah, that D- we gave Tau, they can duplicate.
Yeah, we'll give it to them, I guess. Even though they didn't actually submit it.
They quite literally did not understand there was something to submit.
Maybe next time.
All right, we've warmed up a bit. I think we can move on to the Imperium and get into some of the more heinous stuff.
How exciting. Let's start with Sisters, I guess.
What do Sisters have?
So you remember how the Drukhari trapped the diplomats in a pain engine type thing? How about the Sisters Penitent Engines?
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, you take a bunch of the worst, just the most terriblest of heretics. Then you inject them with a bunch of drugs and chemicals so that they're constantly feeling guilt and pain. And then you send them into war so that they can feel something slightly less. But yeah, that's a great way of using war crimes for your benefit, I guess.
Yeah, so you take your own prisoners, you jack them up full of cocktails of drugs that make it so they just feel pain all the time, and it only lessens when they're in combat. This sounds a lot like something that a certain Chaos faction had done to them.
Yeah, it does kind of sound like that. I mean, I think this is pretty bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, which means it's pretty good. So, like, this is a solid A+, right with Drukhari to me. Well done.
Makes sense. I mean, it's very similar. It's definitely got some interesting things to spin the Sisters. So, how about Custodes? Clearly, they're just defenders. So, like, it's pretty hard to have major war crimes when you're just defending.
So, Custodes argued they've never committed a war crime. But as a hypothetical, they turned in a plan to systematically execute the entire population of Thunder Warriors, who we all know went to live in a farm upstate. They definitely were not systematically executed by the Custodians. That never happened, but if it did, I'm going with this plan definitely deserves an A+. This is some horrifying shit.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up, and some of the best war crimes are the ones that are hidden. You know, you figure out a way to shove it under the carpet so that you don't have to deal with the repercussions.
The ones you get away with are the best ones.
It's true. Good job, Custodes. Never committed a war crime.
Speaking of horrifying, business-like, systematic war crimes, let's see what AdMech can do.
All right, AdMech. So a bunch of Skitarii gather the civilians and march them all to a volcano, and then put them on transit belts to be yeeted into the lava as fuel.
I 100% believe that this is a real thing that occurred in the lore.
Good job on factorioing civilians into volcanoes. You get an A+, you fucking psychos.
Factorioing people into volcanoes. They got left side, right side conveyors to...
I'm sure they did, yeah. And there was probably like a bunch of spaghetti that was perfectly designed for the Omnissiah.
It represents his bureaucracy perfectly. It's artful technology. Solid A?
Yeah, I think so.
So, Guard, what do you have? You're always the underdogs. You can't possibly be committing war crimes, can you?
Yeah, except like then they borrow the missiles from Titans, and turns out a Death Strike missile launcher is basically terrifying, which is the point. It's supposed to be such a big weapon that it instills fear in even like the most hardened of armies, which is why some of them are not just nuclear weapons, but also deadly biological pathogens on this giant missile.
Dispersed by a nuke.
Yeah, which nukes on their own, technically not a war crime. Like, I would still give it a reasonable grade because, like, there's enough indiscriminate nature of, like, yeah, you're probably ruining civilians' lives just because, like, you know, radius and all that, fallout, stuff like that. But, like, not technically. But biological pathogens, yes, absolutely war crimes.
We'll be back to those several times. They were a popular submission to this homework assignment.
This is pretty bad. I'm not sure it's quite up to the level of a bunch of other stuff. It feels more like the Tao's, yeah, it's terrible, but like, how bad? Because like it takes a lot of effort to set this kind of thing up. It's not just like they're just yeeting them around kind of thing.
I'm going to say it's at least C-worthy.
That's probably about right. It's bad. Like, it's really bad when it happens, but it's not on purpose causing pain and purposefully deciding to do all those things.
I don't know. When you grab the biological pathogen weapon off the rack instead of the normal nuke, I feel like you chose war crimes today.
That's fair. I mean, a C is still a solid grade.
Yeah. All right, Grey Knights, how could you possibly be bad? You're known for being just the loveliest people to hang out with and don't have any memes about you.
Yeah, definitely. They don't just randomly kill everybody that's associated with chaos, potentially, sort of.
Especially not during the Matt Ward years. So Months of Sorrow is a decent submission. I gotta say, edgelordy as it is, it's probably worth at least a B minimum.
I think so.
Just executing entire planet's civilian populations for the dumbest reason of understanding your own universe.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely innocent civilians being killed, which is absolutely a bad war crime. I think the real push of, like, it's probably a B is the amount of time and effort put into it. It's not just, oh, I fired a missile. The Grey Knights decided they were going to put the time and effort into, you know, each and individual one.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. There's no, oh, I was just ordered.
I'll go up to like a B plus for them. It's pretty evil.
All right.
You know what? Imperial Agents, I have to pretend you're a faction worth caring about. So submit your homework too.
All right. I mean, Imperial Agents aren't generally known to be good. For many reasons.
Oh, you're saying Cryptman wasn't a good guy? Oh, you're just gonna submit Cryptman.
Yeah, that is the submission. Cryptman definitely exterminated a bunch of worlds just to kind of slow down or potentially divert the Tyranids.
Yep, I walked into that one.
And fucked up so much that even the Imperium was like, nah, dude, that's not okay.
When even the Imperium, who did all these other war crimes, says that's too far, A plus.
Yeah.
The man who is tied hand in hand with the term exterminatus. A plus to Cryptman.
A plus. Good job, Imperial Agents. You're a real faction.
All right. Well, Knights, you're up. What did the Knights submit, Eric?
The Knights submitted the Armiger.
You can't just submit the Armiger for everything. You got an F. You have to stop. Take an assignment seriously, please. Your future depends on these classes.
One day they'll get something other than the Armiger. It'll be great. that leaves us with the Space Marines. And I don't think we're going to split up each individual one because, like, we would be here for the next day.
Oh, God, no. I'm not listing off every war crime every Space Marine chapter has ever committed. We'd be here so long.
And there'd be a lot of overlap. It'd get boring at a certain point.
The important part here is while Guilliman is sitting there trying to explain in legalese why there are no Space Marine war crimes, the Space Wolves have gone out and executed 2 more worlds full of innocent civilians. Prospero burned. You get an A, you psychopaths.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's a pretty good example of how common that is. So, good job, Space Marines.
All right, we're done with the Imperium. Unfortunately, that means we have to discuss Chaos now.
Yeah, it turns out that most of Chaos are pretty good at the whole war crime things. So let's start with Chaos Knights.
All right, what'd they submit? It's the fucking War Dog.
It's always the War Dog. And obviously you get a D- because the War Dog's just cooler.
You know, we had written F in the show notes, but to be honest, that's great. Sure. D- because it's cooler. Okay.
Moving on from there, the demons themselves.
The demons have decided to let Nurgle step up to the plate. They submit Kugoth, Plague Father.
What does Kugoth Plague Father do?
I know you're not going to believe this given his title.
He sounds like such a lovable father-uncle figure.
Unironically, I love Kugoth. He's like the highlight of the trilogy he's in. Go read Dark Imperium. But Kugoth may or may not be responsible for like most mega plagues.
Yeah.
He do be cooking. You don't want him in the kitchen. Kugoth's list of crimes is amazing if we're counting all the plagues he's done on civilian populations. Bioweapons are bad, okay?
Bioweapons are bad. And like, given the amount and diversity of the ones that he's created and set loose, A+.
Well done, demons. Who would have thought demons are good at war crimes? Weird.
Very weird. All right, let's move into Chaos Space Marines.
All right, listen. Chaos Space Marines submitted the Demon Kalaba. I'm not risking further demonetization by discussing the Demon Kalaba. You're getting an A+. Never submit this again. Also, seek God, Graham McNeil. What the fuck?
Yeah, and let's quickly move into something that's less terrible somehow with Death Guard.
Death Guard honestly gets props from me for this one. They submitted a disease that causes blindness in its victims and was only cured by the presence of Guilliman temporarily. So if he leaves an area, everybody goes blind again. The level of personal spite involved in this for Morty is wonderful. Delicious. This is turning a war crime into a fuck you to your brother.
It's a personal vendetta at a war crime level.
Instant A+. Dear God, this is artistic gold here. Just wonderful, Death Guard.
In the most terrifying of ways. Let's see what the Thousand Sons have cooked up then, because like they're known for being super smart.
Unfortunately, the Thousand Sons, they thought way too deeply on this subject. They spent all night trying to read up on technical war crimes and just submitted their flamers. Like, technically, I guess.
It is.
But I'm giving you a B- just to piss you off. Submit something cooler next time, you nerds.
Yeah, I mean, take some inspiration from Death Guard, really.
Yeah, you could have gone so much harder. You have access to a lot of weird demon shit, guys. I know.
All right, moving on. Jesus Christ, what the fuck, World Eaters? You are very excited, and why is this bag here?
So, World Eaters, upon hearing the assignment, jumped out of their seat to slam a bag of bloody heads on their desk. I've never seen a student more prepared for a homework assignment in my career. A+, dear Lord.
Get some help.
Or don't. It's entertaining, honestly.
That's kind of true. Emperor's Children being our last.
No, absolutely not. I'm glad we did this episode before the sex weirdos become a faction. No.
Yeah, that would have absolutely demonetized, like... And no amount of sanitizing will fix this.
So that's everybody's final exams. I guess join us in a few weeks to see the report cards and how everyone fared this semester before all of these failures have to come back for even more of this next year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing who our best student is. It's totally Orks.
And why our worst students is probably some form of knight. Feel free in the comments to guess without looking it up first who you think is going to score best or worst. Also, try not to say war crime too much in the comments and trigger some YouTube bots. Just as a warning, guys.
I was just gonna say, we generally love comments about the topic that was covered. This one, be careful.
Yeah. Don't need YouTube just targeting your accounts.
Yeah. Still love comments. Just a little caution on this one particularly.
But feel free to use terms like big whoopsie doopsies. We're gonna make it stick.
Yeah.
But make sure you do any other YouTube pleasantries you would like. And that's it for us this week. But before we go, it is time for monthly shoutouts in this demonetized episode to show how much we love these people for keeping this show running even when we do a stupid topic like this one. They are 100 Johnny,
3D Frank,
4K Fart,
Adrian Frank,
Alex Fuja,
Amists,
Another Hairy Sasquatch,
Ballad,
Bedlam's Nemesis,
Beth Jesus,
Big Dog 03,
Bubbles 180,
Bolters and Banter,
Brady C,
Cameron Cairns Baker,
Cameron R,
Chase,
Christian Truellis Vickland,
Christopher Gargliano,
Chroma Vale,
Chuck Mordock,
Craig Judge,
Cube 1359,
Daniel Field 5150,
Das Goopy,
Devin Voyas,
Dominic Colisico,
Drath Jennifer,
Duskers,
Edward Lawrence,
Ethan Gerard,
Ezelvor,
Finn Smileys,
Gathering Clouds,
Geet,
Gyarados,
Happy Brontosaurus,
Infinite Fez,
Jack Gaming,
Jacob Gibson,
Jarrett DePerna,
Kalex,
Caden Moore,
Lucas,
Le Bloop Bloop,
Logan Banach,
LSJ,
Madison Ramanama,
Matthew Tsushima,
Michael Melcher,
Mitchell,
Mixelodius,
Burnt Toast,
Moist Toast,
Monkey 218.
Morpheal 55.
Pierce is making Brad say an annoyingly long name and wants everyone to know it.
I'm glad you got that one.
That actually worked out.
Primarch Alucard,
Proteus 7331.
Ross Warlock,
Sarah Hansen.
Slanesh's Sausage Emporium.
Hey, look, we found the one that would have been Emperor's Children's submission.
Yeah.
Struggle Bus.
The Marine Who Plays Tau.
The Crusader 13.
The Fish Boy.
There were no wolves on Venris.
Thrango.
Tom McGarth.
Vartha Mark.
Volt Guardian.
Victoria Angelosi.
Weebay.
Werner Elindi Walmud.
And Why So Mad 2.
Thank you so much.
We also have producers we thank every week. They are A Speedy Freak,
Blitzed Brain.
Brandon Jenke,
Corvus.
Demolition Man,
Dr. Lace.
Erebus Was Right to Betray the Imperium,
Hugh Jacksman.
Yon Guy C,
Kiwi Fruitbird.
Lord Partridge II,
Nathan Seward.
NJ Harlan,
North.
Pizza 00100,
Rock.
Scott Gray, Brad Calls Me Jim Crab,
Sebastian Richardson.
The Mailman.
And Wargame Simulator.
Thank you all so much for supporting the show. And once again, our Patreon is at patreon.com/solely-singleton, where you could join great patrons like Fry Knight. That does it for us this week. Thank you once again, everybody, for enabling this stupid episode idea that is sure to cause more problems than it's worth. Until next week, have a good one.
Sounds good.